The year is 1928. The United States is riding a wave of unprecedented prosperity. The Great War is over, factories are humming, and new wonders like the radio and automobile are transforming daily life. People believed this boom would last forever. Newspapers declared a new and permanent era of wealth, from the humblest maid to the wealthiest banker, everyone shared the same dream, to strike it rich on Wall Street. But just beneath this glittering surface, a storm was gathering. A storm that wouldn't just be an economic collapse, but a Great Depression that would reshape the world. The root of this disaster was wild speculation in the stock market. Millions of Americans weren't buying shares based on a company's actual value. They were just gambling, hoping to sell for a quick profit. The most dangerous game was buying on margin. Imagine this. You only had to pay 10% of a stock's price up front, borrowing the other 90% from your broker. If the stock price went up by just 10%, you doubled your money. Sounds amazing, right? But if it dropped by 10%, you were wiped out and you still owed the broker. The entire market became a massive, teetering tower of debt. This was built on a deeply flawed economic foundation. By 1929, the top 1% of the population owned nearly a quarter of the nation's income. Meanwhile, the average worker's wages couldn't keep up with how much they were producing. This created a huge imbalance. The rich had plenty of cash for stock market gambling, but the vast middle class didn't have enough purchasing power to buy all the goods being made. Factories were churning out products much faster than people could buy them, leading to massive surpluses. On top of that, the banking system was fragile. Most banks were small, local operations with no deposit insurance. If your bank failed, your life savings vanished. In September 1929, the market hit its peak, then started to tremble with small dips. The real panic exploded on October 24th, a day that became known as Black Thursday. A staggering 13 million shares were frantically sold off. Wall Street's top bankers tried to stop the bleeding by making huge purchases to prop up the market, but it was just a temporary fix. The final devastating blow came on October 29, 1929, Black Tuesday. Over 16 million shares were traded in a single day as the market completely imploded. In a matter of days, millions of people watched their life savings, their hopes, and their futures evaporate. The crash echoed through the entire economy. Factories shut down. Construction projects ground to a halt. With no one buying, there was no reason to produce. By 1933, a quarter of America's workforce, about 15 million people, was unemployed. There was no safety net, no unemployment insurance. Families were evicted from their homes, and shanty towns made of scrap wood and cardboard sprang up on the outskirts of cities. In a bitter jab at the president, people called these settlements Hoovervilles, blaming Herbert Hoover for failing to solve the crisis. As if this human misery wasn't enough, nature unleashed its own fury. Years of overfarming and a severe drought turned the Great Plains into a barren wasteland. In the mid-1930s, massive dust storms, known as the Dust Bowl, blackened the skies and buried farms, forcing hundreds of thousands of desperate families to migrate west to places like California. The crisis spread globally. America's economic collapse crippled countries like Germany, Britain, and France, who couldn't repay their debts or continue trading. In Germany, soaring unemployment and national despair created the perfect breeding ground for extremists like Adolf Hitler, who masterfully exploited the chaos. The Great Depression directly sowed the political seeds of World War II. In the 1932 election, Americans overwhelmingly rejected Hoover and placed their hopes in a new leader, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Upon taking office, FDR inspired the nation with his famous words, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." He launched a series of bold programs known as the New Deal. He declared a bank holiday to stop the panic and restore confidence, speaking directly to Americans in his comforting fireside chats. He created programs like the Civilian Conservation Corps to give jobs to young men and launched massive infrastructure projects like the Tennessee Valley Authority. Most importantly, he built a new foundation for the economy. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC, was created to insure bank deposits so people would never again lose their savings in a bank failure. The Social Security Act established a permanent safety net for the elderly, unemployed, and disabled. And the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, was formed to regulate the stock market and prevent another crash. While the New Deal offered tremendous hope, it was America's entry into World War II in 1941 that truly ended the Depression. The massive government spending required for the war effort created millions of jobs and pushed factories to full capacity. The Great Depression was over, but its lessons were seared into the national memory. Its most important legacy is the fundamental idea that government has a crucial role to play in regulating the market and providing a social safety net for its citizens. Institutions we take for granted today, like the FDIC, Social Security, and the SEC, were all born from the ashes of 1929. That dark chapter serves as a permanent reminder of the need for financial responsibility and a society that looks out for its own. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history.